Bright lights used to crown New York City like a glittering crown. Yet those lights now fall on rows of makeshift tents instead of red carpets. Sidewalks that once burst with shoppers now echo with the scrape of store gates rolling shut, leaving whole blocks as hollow as movie sets after filming ends. What stripped the city of its pulse? Sky-high rents, a shaky economy, and other hidden forces that almost no one dares to name. This tale is bigger than New York. It rings like an alarm for every large city in the United States, and its message might chill your blood. Tonight's report exposes how the 10 largest American cities march toward ghost town status because of a growing wave of homelessness. Keep watching, or you may miss the most shocking twist of all. New York, once the planet's beating heart, now falls silent after dark, looking more like a deserted stage than the city that never sleeps. When the sun sets, the former land of endless towers transforms into endless sorrow. Thousands of people without shelter wander among glass giants that show them no warmth. And the hush in the streets is not due to the pandemic. Instead, an exodus of wealthy residents, a flood of new arrivals, and brutal housing shortages have hollowed out whole neighborhoods. Shops can barely find staff, customers have vanished, and traffic is so thin that engines sound lonely. The air feels heavy, as if even the buildings hold their breath. Times Square should roar with life, yet just under the neon, a weary man leans on a luxury store wall holding a cardboard plea that reads, "Once there was a dream, now just a meal." A few steps away, laughter drifts from well-dressed teens who brag about a European vacation, proving two worlds can stand inches apart, yet never meet. Midtown storefronts keep closing, not because no one wants to buy, but because their doorways turn into bedrooms made of blankets and cardboard. Park benches invite no more daydreams. They cradle those who lost everything and now call open air their home. Go down the subway stairs, and the reality grows harsher. Dozens curl near air vents and cling to warm drafts to survive the night. Central Park, once a lover's paradise, now resembles a giant camp. Hundreds of tents huddle under tired trees, sheltering people with no map to tomorrow. Even more startling, almost 400,000 undocumented workers who once powered the city's economy have vanished from sight. I came to New York to enjoy the city that never sleeps, but it seems like it went to bed at 9:30, cited tourists from Colorado. The city wrestles not only with homelessness, but with a teetering economy, sharp class divides, and a future that feels cracked. Next stop, Los Angeles, land of movie stars stepping from million-dollar cars and tech moguls tasting dinners that cost a worker's monthly wage. Yet more than 75,000 Angelenos sleep in cars, on benches, or in tents, turning cheap fast food into a luxury treat and old sedans into fragile shelters. Is LA still the city of angels? Or is it fading into a Western ghost town where the American dream sinks in a shadow? Join us as we peel back the glitter to reveal the gloom hiding on the same sidewalks. Downtown Skid Row looks forgotten by time. Over 4,000 people crowd narrow streets, lined with shredded tarps and spray-painted walls. There is no free space to walk, only cardboard on cracked asphalt and faces worn thin by hunger and cold. Skid Row is where all the food is, where all the resources are, one resident mutters. But it is a nasty place. By day they gather every can and crumb. By night they curl in faded sleeping bags, hoping to forget the chill and the hard stares of passing strangers. The sight mirrors a slum planted inside a city of shining towers that rise just blocks away. Imagine April Galva, age 55, who scraped through 10 years in a tent community before winning a small apartment, only to lose it all when wildfire flames swept through. She now sleeps in a fast food parking lot, whispering, "What am I supposed to do now? I don't even have a chance to pay the rent." Her tragedy is not rare. A fire, a hospital bill, or a lost job can shove anyone onto the street. And in LA, regaining a home is almost impossible. With shelters overflowing, the city chose a strange response. It pipes Beethoven and Mozart through subway speakers all night, not to charm riders, but but to keep weary bodies from resting. Is this crime control, or a cold push to banish the forgotten deeper into shadow, forging a ghost town in the very core of glamour? Los Angeles faces its own breaking point. Median house prices hover near $1 million, far beyond reach for most. Hollywood studios chase lower taxes in other states. Traffic snarls grow longer and fuel costs skyrocket. The so-called promised land now stands at a fork in the road. Either craft a real rescue plan, or watch the city split into towers for the rich and streets for the poor. Listen to the echo of footsteps that now sound louder than any street performer. Even taxis idle longer, their drivers waiting for riders who never appear. Landlords who once boasted full buildings now post discount rent signs that still gather dust. Clear proof of an economy gasping for breath. Community volunteers hand out hot soup at midnight, yet supplies run empty before the line shortens. Showing need outruns charity night after night. Across town, teachers report hungry children nodding off in class because families sleep in cars and cannot cook steady meals. The ripple spreads beyond human loss. Closed shops slice sales tax, shrink city services, and leave parks without upkeep, turning green lawns brittle and brown. Emergency rooms fill with patients beaten by heat because they live in vehicles that bake under relentless sun. Trash piles high where no regular pickup reaches, inviting rats and disease that ignore every zip code. Local business owners lock doors early, not just from fear of crime, but because fewer customers can afford small luxuries, choking the pulse of commerce. Neighbors who once argued over parking spaces now talk about moving away, saying the city they loved feels stranger every single week. The so-called Golden Coasts of LA glitter less each day. Can Los Angeles change course before the lights finally go out? Share your thoughts below, and stay tuned for the next city on our unsettling tour. Chicago was once one of America's busiest cities, a skyline filled with towering skyscrapers and streets bursting with life. But today, it looks almost deserted. Middle-class families are fleeing by the thousands, leaving behind ghost neighborhoods, abandoned houses, and an economy spiraling downward. On top of facing a massive homelessness crisis, Chicago slaps homeowners with a staggering property tax of over 2%, double the national average, making homeownership more of a punishment than a dream. No wonder people are leaving, turning Chicago's bustling streets into lonely avenues, eerily quiet and lifeless. What you're about to hear next will shock you. Chicago's pride was always O'Hare Airport, America's bustling gateway to trade, where dreams took off. But today, passengers dragging suitcases past shadowy figures slumped on waiting room floors, chairs turned into makeshift beds, and sidewalks filled with sleeping bags. Airport stores close early now, not from lack of customers, but from rising security threats. O'Hare is no longer simply a travel hub. It's become a tragic crossroads of shattered lives. Once an American powerhouse, Chicago now teeters on a dangerous edge. Without major changes to lower taxes, improve housing, and address homelessness, the city risks losing everything: its residents, businesses, and soul. Can Chicago pull itself from this abyss, or will it permanently join the ranks of America's ghost towns? But if you think Chicago is alone, just wait until you see San Francisco. San Francisco once dazzled the world with breathtaking views, stunning architecture, and booming tech companies. But now, it's a city slowly dying from within. The tech exodus is real, and it's crushing the city. With office vacancy rates hitting a shocking 34%, an all-time record. These glass towers of prosperity now stand empty, lifeless, and cold. Tech giants leaving town have taken tens of thousands of jobs and billions in revenue with them. Once thriving neighborhoods are collapsing, causing a ripple effect devastating small businesses. Cafes, restaurants, and grocery stores once filled with tech workers now close their doors forever. Real estate prices crash, landlords abandon buildings, and streets once buzzing with life fill up with trash and homeless encampments. San Francisco's downtown, once a tourist hotspot, has become a place travelers now fear to tread. It's not just homelessness dragging San Francisco down. Brazen, organized theft is delivering the final blow. Flash mobs and gangs storm stores in broad daylight, stealing merchandise and disappearing in seconds, leaving businesses helpless and police overwhelmed. Major retailers like Walgreens, Nordstrom, and Whole Foods have shut their doors permanently. Shopping districts that were once lively now sit empty, with for lease signs covering every window. San Francisco, once a global symbol of innovation, now faces a haunting question. Can it ever recover? Or will it plunge deeper into darkness, becoming a true ghost town? But there's another city on the edge, Portland. Portland was famous as America's most livable city, celebrated for lush parks, creativity, and booming business. But today its sidewalks, parks, and streets overflow with tents, garbage, and people society has forgotten. Portland has turned into a giant outdoor shelter, with thousands of tents jammed side by side along sidewalks, beneath bridges, and throughout parks. Would you believe that, on any given night, 1 out of every 165 Portland residents is homeless? The homeless crisis floods downtown, driving away businesses and residents alike, leaving behind empty, silent streets. And that's just the start. More than 25% of Portland's homeless have been stuck in this cycle for over a year, or have endured repeated bouts of homelessness within just 3 years. Even more heartbreaking, 30% of Portland's homeless are women, a shocking rise of 15% in just 2 short years. Nearly half of these women have suffered from domestic violence. African Americans and other communities of color face even harsher realities. Making up nearly 39% of the homeless population, they're among the fastest growing groups in this heartbreaking crisis. Clearly, Portland's problems go far beyond simple economics. This is a deep social crisis, even though city authorities spend millions every year on homeless programs. Yet, the problem just keeps getting worse. Affordable housing can't be built fast enough to keep pace with a rapidly increasing homelessness rate. Can Portland find a way out? Or will this crisis permanently dim its once bright future? And what about a city that takes in billions in taxes, but lets its roads and bridges crumble right in front of its citizens' eyes? Baltimore should be thriving, but instead, it's falling apart from the inside out. You won't believe this, but the city's infrastructure is crumbling fast. Roads are cracked and filled with potholes, and bridges coated in rust seem ready to fall at any moment. According to a 2021 report, 42% of bridges across the country are over 50 years old, and many in Baltimore are already in disrepair. Shockingly, even with sky-high taxes, the streets remain rough, and the neighborhoods look like scenes from a disaster film. Residents are fleeing, and what's left behind? Boarded-up homes, collapsing buildings, and eerie silence in what used to be a lively city. Baltimore was once a bustling industrial hub, with ships filling the harbor and jobs pouring in. But now, the city's defining images are broken bridges and lifeless streets. Baltimore isn't just losing people, it's losing its soul. Can anyone turn this around? Is there any policy strong enough to pull this city back from total collapse? Or will Baltimore become just another forgotten ghost town? Now we head to Detroit, the Motor City. Once the pride of America, Detroit was where dreams roared to life on 4 wheels. The birthplace of Ford, Chrysler, and General Motors, this city once built 90% of all U.S. cars. Back in its golden days, Detroit had a booming population of 1.8 million, making it the 5th largest city in the country. But that all came crashing down. In 2013, Detroit filed for bankruptcy, sinking under a shocking $18.5 billion in public debt, the largest city bankruptcy in U.S. history. The city's fall wasn't sudden. It stretched over 60 years of bad management, job loss, and mass migration. From nearly 2 million people in the 1950s, Detroit now has barely 700,000 residents. The sight is heartbreaking. Tens of thousands of homes left to rot, overgrown weeds swallowing neighborhoods, and the once glorious factories now rusting and hollow. Though rebuilding efforts have begun, they can't erase decades of decline overnight. Detroit still looks and feels like a city frozen in time. It could rise again, but are people ready to return? Next, we visit St. Louis, a city built on the promise of the American dream. Perched along the Mississippi River, this city once welcomed hopeful immigrants and built empires from the ground up. From the famous Budweiser Brewery to McDonnell Douglas, the aviation giant that paved the way for Boeing. But then the world changed. Technology replaced factories, and St. Louis was left behind in the dust of the industrial age. Now the factories sit silent, their doors sealed shut and windows shattered by time. The sound of engines and machinery is gone, replaced by wind howling through deserted buildings. St. Louis couldn't keep up with the times. Workers lost jobs, families lost homes, and what remains now are empty streets and fading memories of a thriving past. We continue to Seattle, a modern tech titan home to Amazon, Microsoft, and Starbucks. With sleek offices and gourmet coffee shops, you'd think Seattle was untouchable. But even this tech powerhouse is facing a slow-motion collapse, and it's happening in a way most didn't expect. Seattle has a sky-high sales tax of over 9%, one of the highest in the country. That alone would squeeze many businesses. But there's more. Homelessness is exploding, especially near stores and public spaces. One shocking example. The largest Whole Foods in the city had to shut down just 1 year after opening. Not because of low sales, but because of safety concerns caused by the homeless crisis outside its doors. Beneath Seattle's high-rise sparkle lies a deep problem that no startup can solve. Now, brace yourself for Philadelphia, the city once called the city of brotherly love. Known for its rich history and strong culture, Philly is now in the grip of a crisis so severe, it's turning parts of the city into urban wastelands. The scenes are haunting. Exhausted people lying in the streets, surrounded by tents, trash, and hopelessness. In places like Kensington, the transformation is heartbreaking. Once full of laughter and community, Kensington is now a symbol of collapse, with crime and homelessness swallowing it whole. People drift through these streets like shadows, stuck in a life with no exit. This isn't just a city problem. It's a human emergency. Solutions are desperately needed in healthcare, education, and housing. Local leaders are trying, but can they really turn the tide? Will Philadelphia rise again, or continue to fall deeper into the nightmare? These stories are just a few among the 10 largest cities in America now teetering on the edge. From roaring urban giants to haunting ghost towns, these cities are showing the cracks in our system. Homelessness isn't a small issue anymore. It's a national warning. Can these cities recover? Or are we watching the slow fall of what was once the American dream? What kind of policies could save them? Lower taxes? More affordable housing? Better mental health care? It's time for serious answers. We've done our best to bring you the truth behind this growing crisis. But this is just the beginning of a conversation that needs to happen. What do you think? Can these cities be saved? Or is the collapse already too far gone? Let us know in the comments. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss the next chapter in this unfolding story. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.